real soul singer
you
with
broke
that.
so early. I was going to just sit in the uncomfortable silence until you said something.
That was magic. Wow.
So how about this?
So how about this?
That's what this is called. I'm Alan Dempsey.
And I am Rafiq Shaheen, and with this is a real piece of shit.
Whoa. Holy crap.
He just happened to have the balls to come back to comedy. After being out for so long.
I want to apologize for Rafiq's horrendous attitude today.
No, it's okay. It's the name of my comeback tour.
I'm a real piece of
whole thing.
But
that's my first plug.
But what's your name though?
Dan Hauff.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a very guttural sounding name.
Hauff.
I hate it.
There's a Viking. I mean, you're red. There's a Viking.
No, because here's the thing. It's German. It's like the most German last name I've ever heard because it's so curt. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah.
And so I talked to a German person once at my job, and I told him.
One time in my life, there was this time that I talked to a German person.
No, literally. I see them all. It's because I work tourism industry. So, like, all over the place. People from, Brazil, Germany, Europe.
Yeah.
Different times of year, different folks come over, right?
Sure.
So, there was a German guy, and I was like, oh, my last name's Hauff. And he goes, that means parking lot, right?
Awesome. I dated a woman. Her father was, I want to say, Nicaraguan. Nicaraguan is, correct.
With the
That's
Italian
a
hand
really
fingers
hard
for some
R
reason.
for Italian.
So his name was Transito, which is traffic.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, sorry. My brain collapsed in the middle of that story.
You should have a daughter, and then I can marry her, and then we'll do like a dual surname situation.
Yeah. Traffic parking lot.
Parking lot traffic. This fucking parking lot so full of traffic.
Man, if you think that's bad, my first name literally means friend. And the inverse of my name, Kefar, which is just my name spelled backwards, means hypocrite. And
I don't know you to be ever hypocritical about anything. I don't know. That's about the third time we recorded a small episode before you got here.
Fucking exhausted.
I must be because I was
the sleeping.
It was. I don't know where I was going with that.
Well, okay, I can carry this for a second here because I actually rember a time
coming
where
back to comedy.
Sure.
That's where we started.
Sure.
Let's at least finish that idea.
Yeah, okay. So I did stand up. I did stand up. I'm being generous already. I'm being incredibly generous. I was a very consistent open micer for about 4 years.
You're not being generous with the word consistent.
I know, right?
But I mean, ultimately,
Mondays at the brewery, baby. That was my jam.
Yeah, as were we all, though. That's not. I mean,
no, for sure. But there's a lot of people now that I see around a lot. And it's alarming to me for somebody who's been out of it for so long.
Sure.
I stopped in 2019, something like that. And so I'm still in the Facebook group and still in all that stuff. And it's just nuts to see all these new people. And they're so funny, too. You see them at shows. A lot of them are good.
It's so weird of as the longer you're in the game, the more new classes show up.
Oh.
And you're just like, oh, you guys are such children. And I can't say that without sounding like a douchebag. But
as somebody who never did comedy, I actually shouldn't be talking about this with any authority.
but I think, for me, the scary thing is whether or not they are children, sure. But also oh God, they're really good.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
This 19-year-old is owning this room. Holy shit.
No, for sure. I was that 19-year-old twice when I first started. And then
Rafiq gave a face.
Do you remember a particular show, Rafiq? Would you like to?
I remember a particular show in which I wouldn't call it a hero night. You were a hero to me, but it was not a particular hero night.
Is this the Iberian Rooster?
Yes.
Oh man, that's my most famous thing is that clip that John Jacobs posted.
So for the folks at home who don't know, there used to be this fantastic little open mic called Iberian Rooster, which was held in a basement downstairs in Florida, which is already fucking magical because that shit doesn't exist.
Beautiful. So many people made the hacky joke. I love it.
And there was a night where I guess the kindest way to describe this guy would be meth-addled, gay, homeless man.
He's a magical individual.
He sounds like someone you want to like get magic beans from.
Yeah, kinda. He looked like he knew how to tell a really good riddle.
Right. Yeah. And if you got it wrong, you're fucked.
That's right.
Well, literally, because I think it's he's gay. So
Well, yeah.
Yes.
not to be rude, but.
So he comes. The thing that makes you here to me is like I didn't even see this guy enter the room.
No,
he just
slipped
sort
in
of
like a shadow,
right? Like it was literally like he just came out of the darkness. It was like
He was there all along
to ruin my already bombing set.
Right, and what was the first thing he asked you, or he started doing?
He was like, "I want music." I was in the middle of my set, and he was like, "I want music."
This isn't. And wow, he's like a king. Bring me music.
And like, so he's like yelling at me to bring him music. I'm like, this is a comedy open mic. There's nothing that enjoyable here. Like, no way. So then the host plays music for him. They were like fucking with me, so they started playing music for him. Homie does a little booty dance.
It's really exciting to know that nobody had your back.
Right.
Not a single
Nobody
person.
was on your side in
It
this
was
scenario.
way funnier than any of my material. It was.
The reason why I go like that was definitely a hero night for you is because one, I applaud the fact that you stayed up there.
Yeah,
like
no.
you are like fuck this, I'm out.
I did my time.
Like you were like no, this time's mine. And for me, I go that's amazing. The second thing though is. He gets up and he's leaving this part out, but he gets up on the stage to do that little booty dance, and Dan is still interacting with him.
Wow.
Yeah, I was trying to have fun. He wasn't really fun. He was just annoying. That was the problem. But, oh well, not everyone's ready to play.
Let's also, so you came back. You're coming back. I mean, but look, you said...
I shouldn't have even mentioned it, because now people are going to be like, who's coming back?
But no, I don't buy that. This is about you, and we're here talking.
That's true.
And I mean, we've been doing this podcast, almost 3 years now, and I keep talking about, well, it's been a while since I've been on stage. Like, it's been a fucking while.
A lot of folks are guilty of it. It's hard. It's just hard.
I mean, at least he has the balls to do it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's not about balls. You know what? Eat my ass.
That's also not about balls.
That's true.
It's mostly about ass.
It's entirely ass. A little bit of tongue, maybe a tooth.
Let's discuss. Apparently, you and I had some beef. I thought I just met you for the first time.
No, incorrect.
But let's hear your side of this story that I don't know about.
So when I was first starting stand-up, ripe old age of 19, didn't really know how to be a good audience member. I didn't know how to value an audience member because I didn't know how to be a good one. Does that make sense?
Right. Mm-hmm. You had never been in that kind of environment before.
So you threw out something. It was a reach out to the audience. I read that correctly.
Okay.
And then I gave you an answer that you just didn't fuck with. I don't remember what it was, but you got mad. And I was like, oh, what a dickhead. And then I kind of forgot about the interaction.
I mean, was your answer sincere, or was it like you thought you were being cute?
Yeah, I think I was trying to be like an idiot. Like I was trying to steal a little limelight or something like that. It's about me, you know? But you dealt with me quite swiftly.
How was my response? How do I say this? Was it effective, or was it something that could have dragged the problem out further?
We'll just say it's pretty rude expletive to use to somebody against the LGBT community.
No, there's no way.
I heard it. No one else remembers it.
I thought you were being sincere for a second.
No, for
I
sure.
actually got a little sweaty. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, he doesn't understand. When we get famous, I have a laundry list of just statements and tweets from him on my phone to just be like, I can cancel you at any moment.
I think you're part of the problem. Oh, no.
You're going to give me that $12 in your bank account, motherfucker.
I just picture Rafiq like hack typing, like he's just clacking away at something, and he's like, I'm going to be so rich from this one day.
Where was this when we had
Dunedin Brewery?
Dunedin. I do remember one night in particular, probably one of the last nights I had ever done comedy. Maybe this was you. Somebody in the crowd kept doing the single junior high clap. You know, where like everybody applauds and then somebody just goes, and I tore whoever that was a new one.
Do you remember which table it was?
I think it was to my right.
Fuck.
Was that you?
No, definitely not. That was some other poor sap who didn't.
But you know what was funny is I don't even think it had happened to me. Like I had seen, let's say it wasn't you. I had seen this person do it to all the other comics. So when I got on stage, I just immediately went after this person. Like, hey, by the way, that single clap, it's not funny. That's what junior high kids do.
See, that shit always pisses me off. But like,
I'm gonna come to your show and do a single clap.
Well, it's not just a single clap. The thing that always annoys me, and this either gets me into trouble or like other comics have also been like, that's great that you respond like this, is I hate the disrespectful audience member because I know how hard comics work. So like it drives me up a wall to sit in a room and listen to one douchebag like talk over people's set because it's like, you don't understand. We're not the brightest people out there. It took that dude like 3 weeks to perfect this dick joke.
Right.
Like, you know.
3 weeks? What an incredible writing method. 5 years.
He had to write it. You don't understand. He had to write a whole essay on that first, and then he had to like edit it down to like one-liners.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely, it's been a while, but the dude I am on stage is the heightened version.
Oh, for sure.
So I'm a grumpy curmudgeon. I'm not unaware of that. When I'm on stage, it's like I'm a grumpy curmudgeon on fire. It's I go on stage with an attitude of fuck all of you people.
That really came through when you were like, I'm a curmudgeon, and then poured out the gasoline.
Right.
It was like, this guy fucking rules.
Oh, well, thanks.
I didn't realize he was a prop comic.
But I remember, I don't know, I just got reminded. I had done 2 shows in a row, or 2 years in a row at MegaCon. The first one was a show that I put together. The second one kind of got accidentally put together because no one bothered to take it off the schedule. Oh. So I was getting messages from other people like, are we doing that show? And I'm like, what show? So anyway, if you're performing in front of like a MegaCon type audience, we're all buddies. Right, we're all like-minded people who are into the thing.
Yeah.
And there was one girl near the front, and I don't think I picked up on the fact that maybe she was a few clicks away from not being fully stashed.
Sure. And eloquence.
And at one point, she just kind of started babbling, and I said something really mean. I said, like, it wasn't vicious, but it was just like, no, here's how it works. I talk and you don't. I said something like that. And suddenly, just real briefly, the whole energy in the room changed. And I got him back, but for a 5-10 seconds there, it was like the whole room kind of turned on me.
Are you telling me like Donald Trump and reported that one girl? It feels like the exact situation. You definitely didn't do it intentionally.
I mean, you don't know Alan. He had that moment, and then he dated her for 5 years.
Yeah, right. No. I don't go for mentally challenged girls. I go for emotionally challenged girls. It's a different.
They're way more available. They're straight. They're everywhere.
I like the idea of Alan just walking the streets and being like, hey, how do you feel emotionally? Oh, unavailable? Come on, let's go grab something to eat.
How much trauma do you have? And can you direct it toward me for no reason? We're going to be swimming.
I love being not happy.
Yeah. I like spending all my time fixing you. Can we do that for 8 years, please?
Was there a marriage story behind this?
No, thank God.
Oh, you hope not.
Yeah, nor a child.
Oof.
So one thing I did want to ask you, as far as getting back into it is concerned, like, do you feel coming back to it that you're going to like change your process, or do you feel like this is going to be like a revamping of who you are, or do you just go, I'm just going to be more consistent this time around?
So I decided this year that I would write jokes.
As opposed to what?
Whatever the hell I was doing before.
I mean, was whatever you were doing before, was it good? Was it working?
Kind of.
Okay.
So here's the thing. I've been told this once by somebody who nobody would believe me that told me this. They were probably drunk too. That's the other thing. So you got to take it with a grain of salt. But they were like, I hate even saying this. It sounds so much like a brag. But she was like, you're very smart for too many rooms. So it's hard for people to like keep up with you. And so like I thought about
I kind of had that problem.
Yeah, I thought about that for a while and I was like, so what do I have to do? I have to start like dumbing some shit down. And then I started to kind of do that in some it's joke craft is annoying as hell.
Yeah.
It's so technical.
I could give you my experience with that if you want it.
Sure. Yeah.
I definitely have you got your brows, right? Your high brow is your mammalian, your low brow is your reptilian, right? So I've definitely got my package of lowbrow stuff, but it's still coming from the same, if we're going to use the word smart, and I'm rolling my eyes at myself when I say that.
I know. Talking about comedy, especially if you have like, if you're not even like super like booked or whatever, like you're not really.
It sounds
reaching
pretentious.
I know it's so annoying to talk about because you have the understanding, but it's like who's gonna believe you? You know?
Well, it's that thing about talking about the arts in general because like there's a lot of technical stuff that goes into the arts, but like when you're observing it from like a third party perspective,
it gets too inside baseball.
You know, it's that thing of like, oh well, you know, like she's a fantastic ballerina, so you don't understand this flip. She did takes like 40 years to perfect, and meanwhile you're on stage or like in the audience, and you're like, "That was a really nice flip."
Right?
I think my dog can do that.
Yeah.
Like, give him a treat, and he just fucking goes nuts, man.
even my rubbish pile stuff that's all about doo-doo, right?
Yeah.
It's still coming from like here's my what I consider smart observation about the pile of doo-doo. So on several occasions, I would start with my highbrow stuff and realize I'm in front of the drunk masses and go, it's time to pull out that doo-doo stuff that I haven't done on stage in like 4 years. And 9 times out of 10, it would bring them back around. Oh, he's talking about farts. I like this guy, you know?
Yeah, especially I think this area.
Yeah,
I feel like my
100%.
stuff might play better somewhere else.
You know what's funny?
Said the person who went nowhere.
One of the best nights I ever had. It was like one of those groups that has like a name. We are the so-and-sos, you know. They were like the young professional whatever.
Sure.
So it was like
it was a bunch of wasps.
Teenagers.
No, there was actually a lot of people of color in there.
Really?
Yeah. Huh. But it was like, well, you know, probably not like rich, but comfortable people who were like in their early 30s who were getting established. And I did all my headiest stuff and fucking annihilated because it was all about therapy and, you know, all of the shit that probably every one of them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was like if I had pulled out my old doo-doo joke, it would have been like, what is this guy talking about? We're the so-and-sos, you know?
Yeah. A lot of times it's about literally just finding your audience, finding the people who are, you know, one of my favorite shows that I've ever done, I did at a comic book shop, not the one that we did at the comic book shop.
I like how quick you were. Not the one you did. That one sucked.
No good. Throw that one back.
No, but like I did a show at like a comic book shop, and like and I still love this line, and I wish I could figure out a way to bring it into my normal act, but like there was a moment where we were talking just randomly about anime and manga, and I asked the question, so like, do we like subs or dubs? And people were like, dubs. And I was like, I like subs because I passed 5th grade English. And like, it was just nice to just say that naturally.
You know what I like? I like that you probably brought the room down with that line. And that right now, me hearing it, it was just, those were words.
Right, yeah.
You said some words.
It sounded kind of mean to me, honestly. I was like, you're killing off of just being rude to the audience.
Right, but
that works, though.
Right, but that's kind of my point, though, is with that kind of audience being rude like that, does work.
Yeah, I think Rick and Morty did it to him.
Yeah,
So-
probably.
What would you say in terms of like, well, now you're feeling more... If you're going to go in a more joke writing direction,
Sure.
how do you feel like you're going to still maintain the you-ness in that?
I feel like a lot of it comes down to my subject matter. I like to talk personal with audiences. I like to like tell them like interesting things about me, which is like so masturbatory and annoying, but that's what a lot of us do. That's what a lot of us do. It's pretty much all it is.
So like less observational about the world in general.
Yeah,
and
more about like an internal.
Right.
I envision it kind of like putting out all the pieces of me. You know what I mean? Like
That's a great name for an album title, by the way. Like
I hate it already because it's me. And that's, but I talk about like personal shit. Like you hear about like comics being like way too personal. So I try my best to walk that line by talking about stuff that I find like weird or interesting, but not like, oh my God, what the hell happened to this person, you know? So like I talk about like feet or whatever. People.
No, I get it. I mean, you gotta.
Did you just say the word feet?
Yeah, literally.
Yes.
Yeah.
You talk about feet.
Yeah,
are we talking about a fetish? What were we talking about?
So yes, I do have.
Oh, okay.
He's got that Tarantinoism.
Yeah,
Sure.
no, literally, he's my idol. If I could have that existence, 10 movies. He's only doing 10 movies,
Right.
And nobody argues about the feet with him. It's just there.
Right, yeah, it is.
Nobody fights that.
It's kind of magical
Well,
the
he's
fact
got
that he took that stance on like what I want in a movie,
It's my
and he was like,
movie.
"It's feet."
Make your own movie.
Well, he also has these, he's got these get out of jail free cards because he will claim, no, every shot in my film is calculated and has purpose. Like, no, it doesn't.
It is purposeful.
Yeah, the purpose is you like feet.
Yeah, exactly. Which counts, and it's smart. If you pay people millions of dollars, it's not that weird.
So,
Nothing's weird for $1 million.
I would say,
wait. Come with me on this. Nothing's weird for $1 million.
that maybe that's the name of your album.
Ooh,
Nothing's weird for $1 million.
I actually like that one a lot. That one's not bad. I could put that on something.
I would say most of my favorite comics are personal. Paul F. Tompkins, all he does is tell stories about shit he did in his life. The last Jeff Garland special, I've watched that like 1,000 times.
Is it good? I haven't seen it yet.
It's so good. I think it's called Our Man in Chicago.
I do love Jeff
He just talks about his career, and he just talks about like the crazy night he had where he met King Kong Bundy, and
Tom Papa's like that too.
Pop. And but also my other favorite comics are like the Brian Regans, who he
nothing but bets that man.
He looks at a box of Pop-Tarts and sees the absurdity of it, and like no one else can do what he does with just objects.
I think part of to kind of connect the two though, I feel like with Brian Regan bits, a lot of times it is personal because it's still presented from the perspective of this is a thing I encountered.
Right.
The thing with Brian Regan, though, is I feel like he sells it that way. But if you look at the writing, none of them are really that. You know what I mean?
Do you elaborate?
So, okay, wait a second. So if you think about, what's that one about horses? There's the show horses in the truck next to him.
These horses got to put on a show. Yeah, that shit's hilarious.
Yeah, he's doing like 4 minutes on the horses next to his truck. Mm-hmm. So he's like fronting like I'm a big dumb idiot. But if you look at the writing, it's insane scribbles. It must be, right? Because it would never be funny on paper.
Oh, you're talking about his performance.
Yes, his performance is selling that he's an idiot, which he's obviously not.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely, he's kind of a master because I think there is a brilliance to that idea, which is like, why should I be more careful because they're show horses? What if it was full of cats? Would I be less careful? I mean, that's essentially that's a really clever observation.
No, it's incredibly
clever. But then he bends over and does the wacky voice or whatever, and it heightens it.
Barrel.
I think part of that though is, again, I think it's still being, whether you're perceiving him personally as a idiot or not in the performance, at least in the context of this conversation, I think is amaterial. I'm talking about the fact of like this is still a moment in his day that he experienced. He was still driving to a location and he saw, you know.
So really, if I hear what I think I'm hearing, you're saying like he's inviting you into his brain.
Right, and it's still a personal...
I didn't just see horses. I saw horses, and then this is where my brain took that experience.
Of a madman from Florida.
Right. That's the name of your fucking album right there.
That's not bad either. That's the second album. That's the second one.
I actually have at least the first 4 album titles, if I ever do one, planned out. So I guess it's kind of interesting to ask, since we have come up with like 3 for you. What do you guys think makes a good album title? Do you think it just hits to the heart of what that album is about? Or do you think it's more of an expression of who the artist is?
I mean, my favorite are the ones that make no sense.
What do you mean?
Jamar Neighbors is a perfect example. His album, he has 3 albums out now, but the 2 that I listen to the most is Naked, Away, and then the other one, there's 2 albums. The other one's, Home. So it's like, one's at like a home club, one's at like a road show. It's the same material, but Naked makes no sense except for he's naked on the album cover.
Okay. Well, is he, I mean, I've never even heard that name. Is he emotionally naked in front of the audience?
No, he's insane. Jamar Neighbors is the most nuts comedian just because he'll talk about, he just... off the walls is putting it mildly when he talks about it, like his topics or whatever. He's he's so out there. Rio Paris will attribute to this if you know Rio, but when he was in LA, he went to the Comedy Store and he was I think he was on a Jamar Neighbors show and was watching him on stage. Dude walks across the tables to tell jokes into one woman's face.
Wow.
He's on the tabletop, and then he does like a jump from the table back to the stage.
Holy shit.
Just telling jokes the whole time. He didn't even really break stride.
A lot of what's the deal material, I'm sure.
I mean, just the physicality. He's nuts. He's nuts.
I love that. I love comics who do bring a level of physicality to their work. You know, because on a certain level, all of this is just fucking clowning. All of this goes back to being a fucking jester in some king's court, being like, "Hey, rattle, 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 what's the deal with dungeons?" You know, or some bullshit like that.
I don't like it when the album title tries, or the special is probably a better way to say it. I don't like it when it tries to describe the person you're about to see.
Yeah,
you know, like I can't remember exactly who it was, but somebody had one called Chewed Up. That was either Louis C.K. Was it Louis C.K.?
Yeah, that's Louis C.K. album.
Now that, at the time in his career and the kind of material he was doing, was a perfect description. But also it's like, you don't need to tell me that I'm going to see a guy who's chewed up.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't...
I think the worst offender of that is Elijah Schlesinger's, Elder Millennial. It's like, okay, you gave away the whole act. Right.
Right.
You gave away the whole act. That's the show, basically.
But I do like it when it's, how do I say this? Like, the best comedy special / album title of all time, George Carlin, You Are All Diseased.
Yep.
It's just, I mean, that's the special where when he comes out on stage, he goes, "How's everybody doing?" He gets a big roar and he goes, "Yeah, well, fuck you."
Yep.
That is how he opens the show.
That's a good vibe check, George. That is a good vibe check.
Like, he lets you know, I'm here to fight all of you tonight.
That's,
you know.
What a man.
God, he was the best. I miss him so much.
Did you know him?
No. Yeah. Oh, I should have just went with it. Oh, we had coffee all the time.
I love the idea of Allan goes, I knew George Carlin, so I kind of tried comedy. Could never really get George to give me any tips.
George wouldn't book me at any of his bar shows. Just being a real gatekeeper. George Carlin pushing down on open mic comedians. That would be, people talk about like local guys being mean to open micers. George Carlin would tell you why you're a problem at your core.
Let's talk about that.
Okay.
Have you had this experience? You are at an open mic.
Sure.
And there's, let's say, one or two people who like literally won't look in your direction. Like they just won't even acknowledge that you're a human. Then you do your 5 minutes, you do really well, and suddenly that person wants to talk to you.
Are you talking about getting booked? I've heard of what this is like.
No, I'm talking about comics. I'm talking about...
Yeah, I mean, a couple of times. But it's mainly like people who I knew weren't necessarily like rude. They were mainly just focused and like misunderstood or whatever.
Okay.
So that was my experience. But I've never really had like people who were obviously just not messing with me, just weren't, didn't like anything I was doing, just hated the sight of me, and then like my act turned them around. That's never happened.
Well, I'm not even talking about that. I'm not talking about like I'm not talking about I interacted with them and they were shitty.
Sure.
I'm talking about I didn't interact with them. Like there's a circle of people. I know the other 4 people. I get into the circle to try to just hang out. And this guy starts big leaguing me. And just literally won't even look in my direction.
Oh, yeah, that all the time.
And then I go do my 5, do pretty well, and then now that guy's like bother, and I'm already like fuck you. So when he starts to like try to be my buddy, there's this part of my brain like, dude, fuck you. You wouldn't even look at me.
Yeah.
20 minutes ago.
I don't think I've ever had that specifically.
Okay.
I think that would require doing well.
How do you guys feel about holding court in general? Because every comic does it to a certain extent.
I can't do it.
But like,
I can't either. This for me is the best because Rafiq lets me interrupt him, which he shouldn't.
That's just because he's kind.
Because he's kind.
Also, he knows how to run the equipment.
But Rafiq pays for everything, so it's a mutually.
You guys have a fun little business practice going on here, don't you?
It's very dysfunctional.
Sounds healthy to me.
I like everything in comedy.
Yeah.
I have no interest in competing. That's just not who I am. If it's a conversation and I've got something good to say, but I know I'm not going to get through to Babblemouth Jones, then I'm going to let him go. I'm not going to fight with you for space.
That I can't do.
Which is why I can't do the hold court thing. Every time I get in that semicircle of comedians and the boops and the bops start going around, I eventually just wallflower. I'm just like, I'm not gonna I hear
that,
for this space.
I've definitely had wallflower moments. But sometimes I can't help myself, and so I'll just constantly throw shit at the wall, and people have literally gotten mad at me before. People have been like, dude, get away from me. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, man, I just wanted you to like me for this moment, which is the dumbest. Like, you're supposed to never want comics to really you're never supposed to give a shit about what other comics think to an extent, right? Especially in stuff like that.
I think that's a fun thing to say.
Yeah. You're not supposed to. Yeah, you're exactly right. But it's just can't turn that button off sometimes. Just got to really pester the fuck out of people until they give you some kind of attention.
Well, so to me, it's interesting because, and again, this may just be like a cultural perspective thing, but for me, the thing was never, oh, I need you to like me or I need you to pay attention to me. It's we as a community are just throwing barbs at each other. Like, now I'm part of the circle too, so I guess I got to throw barbs. Like, hey, what do you guys think about this? No, it didn't work. All right, fuck it. Like, what about Alan's idea? All right, let's talk about that. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about, Alan's 4th dimensional teeth or whatever.
Yeah. 4th dimensional teeth.
That was one of the last jokes before I quit. Oh. That's where my material started to go.
What was 4-dimensional teeth?
Okay, so I'm walking through. I'm going to do my best not to do this like I'm on stage.
Sure.
But I'm walking through a grocery store, and there was a product called Crest 3D White. And I'm annoyed because what else would it possibly be? So my idea was, well, thank God, because like many of you, I suffer from 4th dimensional teeth.
I gotta shave a dimension off these suckers. That's pretty good, actually. Did that get traction?
It depended on the audience.
I see.
There were definitely, I think I actually heard one time somebody say, what is he talking about?
See, and so going back to what you guys were talking about of going too intellectual, my argument to him was always, don't go 4th dimensional, go 2nd dimensional to 3-dimensional.
Right. I have to bring my teeth from, which is a good note, a very good note.
No,
I have to bring my teeth from the second dimension where they're just paper and I can't chew to the third dimension.
I got paper damn teeth. I was born with a perfect razor in my mouth. Oh my God. Imagine breastfeeding that thing.
Don't like that image.
Yeah. It's like a Furby beak.
So, okay, this is going way off topic.
Sorry.
Holding court. We were on holding court.
Right. Fuck it. I'm going to continue this idea because I can't get it out of my mind now. Did you guys see that movie on Netflix, Mitchell's versus the World or whatever it was? Or
Not I.
There's a moment in that film, and it's a Sony movie, where like the whole premise of the film is machines are taking over. There's this family going on this trip to kind of stop them, right? There's a moment where they go into a mall, and in the mall, there's this toy store that's bringing Furbies back.
Nice.
One of the best lines to me in that movie is this gigantic mountain-sized Furby breaking through a wall and saying, "Let the dark harvest begin."
That is the most accurate depiction of Furbies in any media. Those things are fucking terrifying.
They are, and it's one of those things of like, as I get older, looking back on it, I go, there's so many toys in the 90s that are just fucking terrifying that we are never going to discuss.
That robots are a mistake. I'm of that mindset, and here's why. Furbies, now they got real robots. They got people robots. You seen these?
Are you talking about the Russian one? Because that one's actually fake.
No, there's a new Korean one. I don't remember her name. It's not a her. I got to stop that.
Yeah.
It's a robot.
Yeah.
See, I'm already indoctrinated.
And by the way, you might be offending it because maybe it doesn't go by our
No, it admitted it did not have desire. It was it was programmed to say it didn't.
Right.
It did not have desire. So it had no it was like, I have no ill will toward people or whatever.
I don't trust that. The fact that it's saying that it has.
By the way, let's. If you get into an elevator with someone and they go, "By the way, I'm not violent," you're like, "Oh, okay,
great, I'm getting mugged."
Right. I have no ill will. Thanks for bringing that up. Nobody asked.
Cool. I don't have a gun. Shit. Wow. Yeah. No. But the Furbies were the beginning of that, and I think they should have been stopped. I think Furbies prevent Judgment Day.
There's a great horror game out there.
Furbies prevent Judgment Day?
Well, killing Furbies, I should say. Preventing Furbies prevents Judgment Day.
Got it.
I misspoke.
There's a great horror video game out there called Tattletale, which basically the idea is like, instead of calling them Furbies, they're these Tattletale dolls.
Oh, that's weird.
But the whole idea is that like the little Furby-esque dolls are benign, but there's this.
Are they tumors?
They're benign as in like not.
Oh, they just don't move.
Yeah.
Boy.
But there's a mother that gets activated and is wandering around the house trying to find her babies. And I played that game for like 5 minutes and I was like, oh, this feels too real. This feels like somebody was like, I had a Furby as a kid that got possessed.
Have you heard the stories about Alexa just sometimes waking up and saying weird shit?
Yeah.
What?
Like, I can't remember the quotes now, but there have been several stories. A simple Google search will find it.
Oh, I'm sure there are.
But, just every now and then, like, Alexa will just, some guy in Minnesota, and Alexa will just go, I'm not evil, or whatever. And what's happening? First of all, horrifying. But what's happening?
I have a Google Home to unplug. I need to get out of here.
What's happening is some jackass like us who knows how to do this is like occasionally breaking in to Alexa and just programming her to say crazy shit and just randomly throughout the nation,
I love people for doing stuff like that. Terrorizing suburban families by way of their woeful consumption of electronics. Get them.
Get them.
Get them, Alexa.
Dude, maybe 2 Christmases ago, my dad bought me an Alexa. I was like, thank you very much, eBay. This is not happening. I'm not doing this. Nope.
For me, the weird thing is like I simultaneously go to perspectives at the same time.
That mic's going to kill you later tonight.
Yeah, probably. The mic's going to be like, I remember.
I'll get you, Rafiq.
Because I go, while I'm in my meat shell, right, I go, fuck the robots. Like, menial labor, sure. Anything more complex than that, like, fuck that. But I go, once you get me a cybernetic body, I go like, all hail the machines, baby. Like, whatever.
Totally
yeah, let me join your ranks, and then we're good.
Sure.
But like outside of that,
I don't know. So I recently, just within the last couple months, I started getting into the Aliens franchise.
Nice.
And I mean, I'd already seen many of the movies, but I'm like listening to some of the audiobooks and stuff. And so far in the media I've consumed, I don't know why they're creating these really complicated synthetics that have like blood. Like I haven't yet understood what purpose that serves, because it's just like another guy on the ship. Right? They don't have to feed him. I mean, I guess that's cool. But other than that, like, why need it?
What do they do? I never understood, aside from weird blood cuts or whatever.
Right.
The milk coming out of their bodies.
Right. But also, you start extrapolating that. Why give C-3PO a personality?
That's a good point.
Why not just have a box that can translate shit? Why not just have a machine that can fly your ship that you don't have to argue with, that goes bleep, bloop, blop, and now you have to learn another language, just...
By becoming gods.
Yeah.
Right.
So what...
Oh,
God.
Oh, no, go ahead.
So one of the things I actually do like about Star Wars that they explain about that is, like, machines aren't supposed to have a personality. And
where do they explain that?
So
in novel 12 from.
So this was actually one of the notes George Lucas put in, in the original movie.
So I'm sure it was a very coherent
homework.
Yeah, I read the homework.
Lucas
yeah,
homework.
I'm fucking nerd.
But also, I'm sure that it was a very coherent idea that stuck.
Yeah. So essentially, in the movie, there was supposed to be a scene where they mention the fact that, like, droids are supposed to have their memories wiped on a routine basis, or else they start to develop personalities. So all the affectations of C-3PO are just because, like, no one's done a factory reset in, like, a couple months, which is way more terrifying, because the idea of, like, oh, so this thing just gains a soul if you don't reboot it. Like,
well, okay, in typical... Now we're about to go down a Star Wars path, but here we are. In typical George Lucas, now that you've said that, in typical George Lucas fashion, there's that one moment in one of the episodes, maybe part 3, where out of nowhere, one of the characters goes, wipe this droid's mind. And there's no explanation, and and even the audience is, why? Yeah. He's been nice. Why? Well, that is the problem with later George Lucas, is he would have these buckshot ideas that he didn't know how to develop. He's like, I got this metachlorian idea. It might be a good idea, but you don't know how to put it in your own fucking script.
No. Yeah. Half of Star Wars makes no sense, which is how it gets the fantasy attachment to it. It always gets the fantasy attachment, because it's like, some of this shit just exists. Exactly.
It's weird, because, like, in contrast, Star Trek was always like, we have a very rational reason for why all these things exist, but it's like, the rationale behind that is equally terrifying.
Oh, yeah, no, they explain things too much.
Right, yeah. It's like, well, okay, the reason why we don't let synthetic humans on the ship is because, like, we had a robot uprising and there were a lot of dead people, and especially, like, a lot of dead babies, so our robots really enjoy killing children. And you're like, I'm sorry, can you go back to that? Like, that seems like a huge skip over that we're just ignoring. Like, your robots enjoy killing children?
That's their favorite part. It's the favorite part of every robot's life, is when they get to kill their first child.
It's like a rite of passage. I got my driver's license.
This species views looking at each other as a terrible sign of disrespect. You have to now fight him to the death. He's like, I just walked in the room. What? Damn. I'm not super big into Star Trek. I'm much more of a Star Wars guy.
Same here. I will say I have really enjoyed actually watching The their most recent animated series, which was Star Trek Lower Decks.
Isn't that the comedy show?
Yeah, because one of the things they do in the show so well.
He said doo-doo.
That was more of a Blazing Saddles reference than a fecal reference. Is they do point out the fact of like Picard gets to go out and make first contacts with all these planets, but they're like, well, we also have like 100,000 ships that go out and make second contacts. So we have to like lay out a lot of fucking ground rules, so you don't just end up like murdering an entire society. You know,
I wouldn't have thought of that. If I was a writer, I'd have been like, yeah, people just keep making the same mistake. These folks just keep getting into one-on-one combat duels, and nobody seems to figure out how to fix it.
Right. Well, so like one of my favorite episodes is like they have this moment where like all the commanders of the ship are like captured, and they're like interviewing the crewmen, which is who are their principal cast of the show. And like the end conclusion is like, if you're an ensign on the ship, you have no fucking idea of what's going on. Like some god level being is just wandering the halls, turning people into soccer balls, and your command crew is dealing with it, and you're like, I was just on the way to get a shower. Like I guess nobody kick Greg? Like, is that like
they just don't communicate to each other? They're like, oh, there's a guy here, sure.
Yeah, because your boss doesn't do that. Like Jeff Bezos is not sending out an email going like, by the way, like I know you guys have to pee in bottles every 15 minutes, and we then ship those bottles out, and you don't know where it goes, but this is the reason why. Like
That's
Jeff
not
Bezos,
real, is it? I believe everything I hear about Amazon.
Yeah. I'm going to hit pause for a second to make sure that I can do the thing that I was going to do on the thing.
Okay.
Well, we'll be right back after these messages.
Oh, yeah. Take that shit.
Hey, no, look, I told you, but then you said the thing, and then...
Listen, I'm upset because I don't feel listened to or valued in this fucking space.
Don't be a little bitch.
Well, you
I'm
know
sorry.
what? I'm yelling because I want to yell.
I'm yelling
I
because
want to take up space in this conversation.
I'm going to shy away meekly. I fold. You two are clearly the alphas. Please don't sodomize me.
Okay, so we got to talk about this for a moment just because I keep on seeing fucking memes for this, and I cannot believe that we've gotten this stupid. Have you guys heard of this whole new thing called Sigma?
Shut the fuck up.
That level of exhaustion is the exact same feeling I had.
What's the Sigma male
Okay,
grind
so
set?
let me, before either of you start, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Sure.
But seeing your immediate exhaustion, I'm already annoyed and exhausted, and I have no idea where this is going.
It's terrible.
Okay, let's go.
It is. So, for the folks at home and for Alan, you have already heard of the bullshit idea of alpha, beta personalities. Cucks, right, whatever. First off, the original person who invented that has already come out and said that was a bunch of bullshit.
Was it ever, like, invented? I mean, was it ever... Did anyone ever officially try to assume that that's an actual scientific thing, or was it just... Okay.
So the whole thing came about because the original researcher was studying wolves, and then he was like, well, there's clearly an alpha wolf and a beta wolf, and they're...
Oh, but, like, even among wolves, they're starting to not believe that,
well,
right?
so that's the thing, is, like, the researcher came back out, and he was like a bunch of caveats to my study is like, I found out later on, like, all these wolves were part of the same family.
Right.
And like, this was the mother and her pups.
Sure.
And like, and it was one of those things of...
So we've taken something that the scientist thought was right. He's modified it. But we've now based this bullshit social hierarchy on a thing that was incorrect the first time.
Right, exactly.
Okay. So what is a sigma?
So sigma is the concept of take all the shitty aspects of being an alpha to begin with.
Oh, is this a toxic mixed masculinity
thing?
thing?
Oh, it's definitely a toxic masculinity thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's take all the shitty aspects of an alpha, but then say this is a person who's a loner. So it's literally.
So it's me.
It's the wolf T-shirt of identities.
Okay.
Yes. And not even like the good wolf T-shirt.
No.
This is like.
Is there a good wolf T-shirt?
Yes.
Okay.
This is like somebody took like the fantasy painting on the side of a van and then like photocopied that, and then like they photocopy the photocopy, and that's what they're presenting as their original work.
Okay.
Beautiful.
It's fucking terrible. And
Is there so? First of all, where is sigma in the Greek? Is that like the third? Because that
it's not even
alpha, beta, whatever, C kappa. I
It's
guess
like-
would be
yeah,
next,
it's
right?
like 10th, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, and like
So it's already we have a problem.
Way low.
Because
Yeah.
it's not alpha, beta, kappa. It's
Nope.
we're just I'll randomly pick the 10th one.
We pulled it from a hat.
Yeah.
right, and it's one of those things of like, even if you're using it in the context of like Greek lettering, like you're saying, it's like you're just using the 10th one. It's like sigma doesn't even signify that in the Greek alphabet.
Right.
Like if you were going to use this, then you should have used omega at the very least, because that's at the tail
bottom,
end.
right.
And it's got the word mega in it. That's gotta be cool.
By the way, is Omicron the coolest name for any disease ever?
Kinda.
I'm a fan of Transformers,
You're
so
exactly.
I have to think so.
Exactly.
See, this is how you can tell I'm fucking younger, because when I heard Omicron, I first thought Futurama.
Well, Omicron.
Ooh, that's a
Yes.
good reference.
Omicron is the name. Omnicron is the Transformer.
Yeah.
See? You see?
No.
No, I get it.
Unicron.
Oh, you're right. Thank you. It is the Unicron. I'm sorry.
I swear to God, I've had sex.
I used to talk about that in my act. Like, people have touched me. It's weird.
I don't believe it sometimes.
That's actually, so kind of looping that into the whole alpha sigma bullshit. One of the things I hate is like the two kinds of people I find who use that kind of bullshit thing are like either uber like guys who want to be tough guys, like the guy
So
who
are people
wears
proud to be Sigmas?
yes
Oh,
for some
absolutely.
reason.
Oh, I thought this was like a feminist, I hate men. We're going to
No.
label you as a Sigma.
This is the toxic masculinity in the sense of like
This is a guy embracing.
He loves
right.
it.
Yes.
Okay.
This is the guy who's like, the reason why women won't fuck me is because I'm
Because I'm just
and
too
it's
fucking awesome.
Yeah, and it's like, dude, we get that you own a Punisher T-shirt. Like, you didn't have to bring this up in order to let us know what your wardrobe looks like.
Got it.
It's beautiful. They call it the Sigma male grind set
It-
because they're alone.
No. You didn't just say the word grind set.
That's what it's called.
Yes.
That's what it's called.
That's the most troubling part of it all.
See, that's my problem with it too. Sigma male, whatever, identify however you want. Grind set.
Yeah. What?
So a Sigma male is a guy, he's hustling, man. He's
Yeah.
always on his grind.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. And it
Because he can't get no girls.
what's so exhausting.
Or he's above
He's-
getting
he's-
girls.
he doesn't- yeah.
He's transcended.
It's up on the cupboard. He can't reach it.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's not because he can't reach it because he's too short.
No.
It's just because he chooses to let his mom put this fruit snacks up there. That's
His mom dubbed him a Sigma male grind set.
Wow, that's something. All right, well, we've got 10-ish minutes left. I'm going to pass something across the table to you.
Sure.
Now, we would love to luxuriate in your reaction to this, but we've done this on several episodes, so anyone who listens to this podcast doesn't want to hear us go through all this again.
Sure.
This is a sincere gift that was given to me, like, I love you, here's a gift, and now I'm going to pass it over to you, and you can just tell us what you think about this.
Ed the Machine Regine tells 100 of the funniest jokes he's ever heard.
He's ever heard. Why don't you go ahead and open that up, take a look at the CD inside.
The he's ever heard part is really good. Oh, it's you guys signed it.
No, Ed signed it.
Oh, I can't read cursive.
What? Oh, God. Now I'm old. That was the moment.
I thought it was Rafiq, and I'm like, okay, buddy, we're putting a lot of investment into that signature.
So I think it says keep them laughing or something like that.
Make them laugh.
Yeah, make them laugh.
That's cute.
like it's
Okay.
supposed to be an inspiration.
There's 100 tracks on
There's
this.
100
Should we go
tracks.
through the tracks real quick?
Many of the tracks do not correspond with the actual joke
I could believe
on
it.
that. Some of the tracks cut off halfway through.
I bet he edited this himself.
We're fairly confident
yes.
of that. Take a gander at that parental advisory logo that he slapped on there.
Ed the Machine Regine is not playing safe.
No, he isn't.
Holy shit! This guy looks like every golfer.
Oh, I think you're the first person to say that, and it's right on the money.
He looks like every golfer. Every guy. Bleached white teeth. Beautiful, beautiful head of fake silver gray hair.
Mm-hmm.
And just the most fucking crow's feet seen in my life.
So we've been listening to these with our guests.
I'm so sorry.
We are listening to them.
No, that's me.
Yeah.
Yes.
We are listening to them at the same time you are. We have not heard this track. So why don't you tell us the title of track 55?
Okay, 55. That's going to be Cowboy Boots.
Cowboy Boots. It may or may not be about cowboy boots.
Rose and Jim were married for 40 years. Jim always wanted a pair of cowboy boots.
Ah.
So they retired and went to Texas. And while down there,
I
he
hate when
buys
he
a pair of
stops.
cowboy boots. He proudly walks into the kitchen
Terrible
wearing
pacing.
them. And he says to his wife, "Do you notice anything different?" She said, "No." He got pissed off, went into the bathroom,
He
took
put
all
something
his
down.
clothes off.
Did you hear that?
Came
Yeah.
out wearing nothing but the cowboy boots. He said, "Now do you notice anything different?" She said, "Look, it's hanging down today. It was hanging down last night, and it'll be hanging down tomorrow." And he said, "Yeah, that's because it's admiring my new cowboy boots." She said, "Well, Jim, you should have bought a hat."
My God, that was
A man and a
that
woman.
was torturous. That might be the worst one we've heard,
And
and
you-
that is fucking saying something.
I'm not allowed to break the disc, am I?
No, please don't do that.
Oh, my God. That's abysmal.
Yeah.
So we've been dealing with this man for 55 tracks.
I'm
Yes.
so sorry.
So I'm picking up on things. I probably picked up on them before, but now I'm really zeroing in. You can hear when he forgets what he's supposed to say.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
hear the moments where he gets stuck and goes, "Oh, wait, what's the next part of this joke?"
I bet he's butchering each one of them, too. These are just jokes he's heard. How many
Yeah.
jokes
They're
can you just tell from memory?
They're 100 of the best he's ever heard.
You can tell Ed does not have many funny friends.
The machine is really just a Rolodex of histories. You're not going to find Carlin. You're not going to find any kind of... Not going to be any Tony Woods, Dave Chappelle, nothing.
You know what kills me is like I feel on a certain level these are jokes like you would hear off of a Prairie Home Companion, but I also feel like a Prairie Home Companion would have delivered the joke fine.
Oh yeah, there's nothing good about. There's nothing redeeming. There are a handful. I mean a handful of jokes that we've heard where we kind of went, all right,
Okay.
that was a good one, but he can't.
sucks.
I mean, he's
Yeah.
terrible. And there was one. I think the last time we did it, halfway through the joke, I lost all track of the protagonist because he kept talking about a husband and then a cop, and it was like, well, but the cop was retired. Like he just kept giving you all this information that didn't help.
He's just butchering the jokes.
Even in this bit, he's talking about a husband and a wife getting cowboy boots. But for some reason, husband can't afford cowboy boots until they retire and go to Texas.
Yeah,
why
does he
do you need to know that?
Cowboy boots are that expensive?
And only accessible in one part of the country.
Yeah.
You have to move. You can't just travel. You have to move to Texas to acquire cowboy boots.
That's...
I
only Ed was alive to see this today.
Oh,
Oh,
Ed is
he
alive.
is. He
We've
was
been on
actually
his
recently.
So he
in a
doesn't even
movie.
have Amazon?
We've done a deep dive, dude. We know
Holy shit.
our secretive, furtive goal is that he will one day find out that we've been making fun of him.
That's beautiful.
And then get him in this room, whereupon I will not be kind to him.
As you shouldn't be. Yeah, you know, I'm kind of really wondering what his life would be like instead of Ed the Machine. What if it was Ed the Prospector and he did it all like an old timey? The joke would have been way funnier if it was from like a hey boys and girls, what about the cowboy boots? That'd be really funny.
Yeah, if he was a character. The problem is Ed has no
Just
character.
some leathery
Like,
piece of shit. Like it's this man is abysmal. He looks like every character in The Sopranos mixed together.
Yes. He definitely looks like he's like, if he is in The Sopranos, he's definitely going to sell you a joke book he found that fell off the back of a truck.
My God.
Do you remember not long ago we were discussing one of your favorite filmmakers?
Yeah, Quentin.
How would you feel if I told you that this man is in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
You're fucking kidding me.
He's like the waiter or something.
Yo!
For real.
My man, okay. I don't think this is Ed's calling, but something's clearly cooking with Ed. All right, the machine might be a little more than I initially anticipated.
And remember, if
Keeps good company,
if Tarantino included him, it was intentional.
and because Tarantino jerked off on his feet.
He took the mantle from Weinstein. He was like, "Well, you got in trouble for your shit, but I'm jizzing on some feet over here, pal."
No, it's just feet. Nobody cares. It's not weird.
Well, kids, it has been about an hour.
Oh, boy.
And we've got another guest coming in because we are on fucking fire.
Hey.
Yeah.
Booking guest.
I'm on fire.
Crushing it. Self-promotion.
Get that Sigmund grind set going.
Grind set. Promo code. So how about this? On all the things. I wish that were true.
Actually, we do have merch.
We do have merch,
Hey.
and I am not even going to attempt to say it's the longest URL in the history of man. But go to our link trees and stuff, and you can find it. And it's a shirt, and it's a cartoon drawing of me and this guy over here.
I like the drawing, by the way.
And we have a Betty White
drawing.
shirt.
that we do.
And we have a lot of celebrity shirts that you should probably buy before somebody sues us. Like that.
Or they die.
We should probably do a mini-sode about those shirts because I feel like I need to give you an intervention. I don't know what the hell's going on with those.
You make all the shirts for me?
Yeah. It honestly, it's just been like a design thing to just like eat up like a couple minutes of my day.
Sure.
But most of it is just it's celebrity photos with misattributed quotes.
Oh, that's
so good. It's
Okay, so we may be adding another 10 minutes to this episode. How old are you?
25.
Perfect.
Beautiful.
Maybe this is a generational thing because I look at the merchandise that we are selling and I go, I don't know what this is. I don't know why this is. I don't know what the point of this is.
So it's all just those shirts. Celebrities with
now I
misquotes?
don't say that about the podcast shirt because
Sure.
it is our logo with our image. Yeah, obviously, if you're a fan, buy our shirt.
Yeah,
The other ones we sell, I just every time I see it, it's like I spend 12 minutes. Look, I don't know what this is supposed to be, but if a 25-year-old, very intelligent man goes, "Oh, that's great," then I go, "Okay, this is a 43-year-old talking. I don't get it. It's not for me."
I mean, it's fun. I'd probably own one. You know what? I own 5. I bought their whole stock. I own all the celebrity shirts.
Can you clear out our warehouse? Get us back to zero.
The truck is on the way.
Perfect. Okay, now we really got to go. Hey, Rafiq. Oh yeah, sorry. Plug your shit and say your name again.
I have to put a plug in now?
I mean, if you have a plug,
I
or
don't
your
have
socials
I
or-
left my plug on me. You can follow me at
Did you leave
Twitter.
your plug in
you? Not today. You can follow me on Twitter at Dan the M0N. And that's it. I don't have anything else. I have projects coming up this year.
okay.
Good.
So
And your
stay
name
tuned.
again is
Dan Hauff.
Dan
ladies
Hauff.
and gentlemen.
Dan Hauff, and you can see me January 24th. I don't know if we're gonna get this out before then, but
we should. Sure.
yeah,
it's my
okay.
birthday.
So then you can see us at the I think it's like the Daily Page Brewery in Bartow, Florida. I'm gonna be there with a bunch of really funny comics, and you can follow us on social media.
Yep. And we have a thing that we put at the end about that. So I have a question for you.
What's that?
So how about this?
I hear what you're saying, and I find that very interesting, and I'd like to pose to Dan. So how about this?
I thought about it and I pondered on it, and after thinking about it for about 4 to 10 business fortnights, Alan.
Yeah.
So how about this?
That's a good question.
Everything we do matters.
Hey, thanks for listening to that episode of So How About This? Whatever you are using to listen, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment, hit whatever extra button they make you push these days. On Twitter, you can find us at So How About This 1. The words are So How About This, followed by the number 1. Leave us some beautiful comments there. Ask us questions. If you want us to talk about something on the podcast, let us know. We'll bring it up while we record, and we'll see you next time.